This video is going to be about building predictability into your life insurance telesales business. And it's through the lens of James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Okay. This book has had a profound effect on our business. And there's really one statement, one heuristic that we live by in our business. And it's we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. Okay, now this statement, it just rings in the back of my mind every single day I'm in the office. And I'm going to explain why and how this affects you and your business and how you can build predictability in your business, because a lot of you have a very unstable, unpredictable business. Every week you're coming in and out of, are you going to be able to make it? Are you going to be able to buy leads, right? And it's not the emotional stability you need in this business. You have to build processes and systems in place that give you predictability. And I'm going to talk about two of those that will give that to you in this video. First, I want to communicate kind of what this means for us internally at Digital BGA, because it'll translate to what it means for you as an independent life insurance agent, because we all share the same metrics. Okay, so we know that in our call center, on our worst month, our absolute worst month, right, we'll carry a basic sales percentage just because our agents are saying the same thing over and over on the script, right? They're giving a complete presentation. And we know that that minimum sales percentage that we've never dipped below carries a profitability that we're good with, okay? So it has never dipped below that. And as long as all of our other systems are working, this base level profitability, the sales percentage is fine for us. And it's never dipped below that, because we have systems in place, because we're saying the same thing on every single call, because our training is impacting everything. So, along with that, you have placement percentage. We know what our placement rate is going to be every single month. And guess what? It's higher than independent agents because we're saying the same thing on every call. We never deviate. Our placement rate is higher because we're verifying routing and account information before we put it on the app to make sure that first draft goes through. We're attempting to get payment information to draft today rather than a future draft date, in our button up and everything, right? And so we know our lowest, what we can count on, what our processes hold us up on, the placement rate will never dip below here. So we know our sales rate right here, placement rate around here, and that is acceptable, that is profitable for us, and we can build on top of that. The thing is, most agents don't have that. You don't have that predictability because you don't have a predictable sales process, okay? And that impacts your sales rates and your placement rates. We've talked about it in previous videos, net effective close rate, right? It's not about what you sell, the percentage you sell, it's what you place. So this gives us some certainty in our business. And in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about, you have your goals, which we talk about in this statement, right? We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So we have our goals, and we use it as kind of direction that we build our systems and processes toward, okay? And it's about getting 1% better every day is how he says it in the book. It's not about big drastic changes to your business in order to hit this, let's call average premium goal. Okay, that means next month we need to hire 50 agents, have them take X amount of calls. We're not going to do that, right? That's not sustainable. It'll break our processes. We need to do it incrementally over time to hit those, okay? To maintain the stability in the business, okay? Now, all this to say is that independent life insurance telesales agents, you guys lack certainty in your business because you lack systems, right? The systems that we have in our call center, we're not experiencing those same emotions that a lot of independent agents are experiencing out there because our agents are forced to say the same thing over and over again, right? They're forced because they're employees to come into the office and take a certain amount of calls and do a certain amount of activity. And so with that predictability, we have these baseline levels where we know we never will dip below because our systems won't allow it. It supports it. And that's what I want to focus on in this video. And so by lack of systems for you guys, as an independent agent or agency out there, that means sticking to a script or sales process and not deviating and giving it a full presentation every single time. It means sticking to a schedule and an activity goal, right? Whether it's number of dials, number of calls taken, talk time, whatever it is, it needs to be consistent over time. I'm not saying you need to do it every single day. Some agents do great in just 3 days a week or 4 days a week, but they stick to a certain amount of activity, and they're able to hit their goals. So, guys, if you're struggling to remain profitable in this business, I bet that you don't have systems in place. Okay. And because those systems should create a base level of success. If you don't have a base level of success, you need to work on your systems. Now, there is no reason to fail in this business unless you lack systems and then consistency, right? Your upline can only get you so far, guys. We can give you the script and the sales process, but it's up to you to turn that into a system in your business and not cut those corners. Really internalize that and try and become 1% better every day with that, right? And then that becomes a system. You're not going to fall below a certain sales percentage. The thing is, most agents don't do that because they're saying different things on every call. They're judging every caller, every person that they're speaking with, and not giving a full presentation because of something they felt, whatever it is, okay? Just last week, I critique a call live for the very first time. I'll listen to it for the first time with a bunch of people on Zoom. And this agent was going through a script, had the tonality was off. I was pretty critical on it. It kind of sounded just robotic, but he was going through the script. He was missing a lot of follow-up and probing questions. And I was pointing that out. It wasn't, it was still good to hear somebody go through the script so you can learn what to do better. But there was one thing that happened near the end of the presentation where he was about to present the rates. And as he was describing the company, he says the company has been around over 100 years. And the prospect for the very first time gives a positive sort of reaction. Before, this prospect was just answering his questions, right? There wasn't really much of a connection or anything. And she goes, "Oh, it was the very first, I guess, reaction." Just very positive, like, "Oh, like knowing that the company's been around 100 years, this is what this prospect needed to hear." And he made the sale. Not terrible presentation because he went through a full presentation, but how it was delivered and the missing connection points made it not an ideal presentation to trade on. But he said that one thing, and that one thing, I paused it right there because it was so impactful, because a lot of agents are cutting corners in their presentation. And when you cut corners, there's holes in your presentation now, and you have leaks in your presentation. You cannot assume that your prospect doesn't need to hear something, that you don't need to tell them about something, okay? Every single presentation needs to be the same. And that way you have this baseline level of success, of sales percentage every single time, okay? And you build on that, and that gets higher and higher every single month. That's how you build success in this business, okay? And I made the point that a lot of agents would have skipped that. Company's been around over 100 years, has an AM Best rating of da-da-da-da-da. And like those small pieces are that you cut out are holes in your script, and you need to plug those holes. Make sure you give a full presentation. Make sure you understand their situation and repeat it back to them. Make sure you understand their why. Make sure they feel what would happen if they didn't take action. Make sure that the financial discovery, the emotional discovery, all that stuff is there, and then you can expect a certain level of success. If you're doing different things on different calls, there is no certainty in your sales presentation. Okay, deliver the same presentation every single time. You get that certainty, and you'll get that predictability in your business. But guys, I want to challenge all of you. A lot of you believe that because you have a script, a presentation that a lot of other successful people are using, that you should get a certain level of success, okay? But I challenge you, are you giving that same presentation every time? Are you actually trying to become better at it every single presentation that you make? As James Clear says, getting 1% better every single day. That's what it takes to be successful here. Because guys, if you are cutting corners on your scripting process, Do you really have a process to fall back on? If there's leaks in there, okay, if you have leaks in your sales presentation, there's no way to have that baseline process system to fall back on. Okay, so it's not just that, right? It's about sticking to a schedule as well, right? Or and more importantly, an activity, right? So you need to have baseline activity, or else you're going to fail out of this business. You will, because you're creating just so much variance. And when you're so inconsistent with your activity, I'm talking either taking amount of, a certain amount of calls or making a certain amount of dials or talk time, right? You'll have high highs and low lows. Okay. And it's those low lows, those sales slumps, that because of the variance, those sales slumps will be prolonged. And that's what gets agents out of the business. In other words, guys, you need a systematic and consistent approach to this business. All right. Build those baseline systems, starting off, of course, with your activity, your daily commitment to whatever it is, and the sales process. Those two things are foundational. Though you can fall back on those, right? And have your worst, like just have a bad day or bad week, bad month, but you won't go below a certain percentage because you have those, right? Because we're not going to be at our best every single day. There's no way, right? This sales is about, all sales positions, including ours, you have those high highs and low lows. You have outside forces just pulling you out, right? In your own life. You have emotions that build up during your day, right? That $3,000 commission case that decided they were going to go with somebody else that you thought was a for sure thing, right? That'll kick you down. It kicks a lot of agents down, but and you need to be able to fall to those levels of your processes, of your systems, right? So that holds you up. That's your support. Agents have so many outside factors and even internal factors that are affecting them, and we're not going to be at our best every single day. So you have to have these systems to prop you up. Okay. And that means you need to stay consistent with your sales process and your activity. That's what it takes. Okay. And, as James Clear says in the book, like 1% better every day. A lot of agents are going to have this moment where like they're going to turn it all around, right? They're sick of being, not being successful. And, the next day they're going to buy a bunch of leads or make a bunch of dials or make a bunch of calls. That's not sustainable. Okay. 1% better every day to get to your goals, right? Look at it that way. Look at your sales process as a system, and that any hole in that system could sink the whole ship. Okay. That's how you need to look at this. And you need to, you have to deliver a full, complete presentation every time. And that 1% better is building more connection, building more rapport, those soft skills that I talked about in the last video, just other ways to build that sales percentage up. Okay. Because we're all going to have bad days, guys. We need to have some sort of support system. Most of our support systems are 0, right? Where you fail. Okay. So have those baseline activity numbers, that baseline scripting and presentation. And when you do, you're going to have that predictability because you're going to be able to fall to the level of your systems. And when you do, you're going to see less variance. And at some point in the future, guys, you're going to build a business that you can count on every single month for your income. A lot of you don't have that right now. We have that in our call center because everyone is doing the same thing. They have to. Okay. And so we have that predictability in it. That's all it takes for agents to independent agents is it just takes that same presentation and that same activity every day. That's how a call center works because they're forced to. They're employees, right? If they don't, we move on and we hire somebody else, right? In your world, that's all it takes. Okay, so if you haven't read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, highly recommend reading it. I gave you the gist of it in this video and how it applies to the business, but I challenge everyone to build those systems in your sales process, in your activity, and you will see predictable success in this business.